back out on the Sage. Let's stop real quick. Okay, on the Sage titanium bike. It's the Gravel King that's been slightly altered for the suspension fork. Reminder, got 30 mil suspension fork. We've got the new Zipp 101 XPLR wheels and the SRAM XPLR red axis, one by drivetrain. So geometry of the bike's slightly modified for the gravel fork. Oh, we also have the Axis 27.2 XPLR dropper post. So I just did that. That is actuated by both buttons. Just been doing a couple of fire roads there, on a fire road here. Obviously some good downhill, but never wanted to or needed to close the fork and suspension. Morning. It's been just wide open the whole time. I think if you have your adjustments set correct, you don't really need to close it too much. Maybe if you were standing up on the road, but it's really not a big deal even if it's open then, because it's so progressive. Woo! I haven't been down this in similar to the other trail, probably 6 months or so. A couple people down here. Morning. Morning, guys. It's buttery smooth. This is usually, there's a lot of bumps on here. Still getting a lot of chain slap, even though the derailleur does have the kind of added tension. Morning. There's still a lot of chain slap here happening. And at least in the smallest cog, but I wasn't even in the smallest cog, so that was one up. And now that I'm in the 10 tooth, there's even more. I haven't ridden this trail in quite some time. They were doing construction on it for a while, so it was always like iffy on whether you could even ride it. And I got plenty of other trails to ride. Ooh, too hard of the gear there. Coming into this. Really makes, you know, the mixed terrain, throwing a little single track in like this, a lot of fun. But most impressive is how progressive the fork is. So even on the fire road, really small bumps, climbing, all of that, much improved. I mean, just takes any edge off. And then when you get onto stuff like this, it really helps with the bigger stuff. So I'm liking this fork a lot more than I liked the original Fox one. I think the original Fox was kind of like between a prototype and just trying to figure out what people need and want. So I think the trail starts up again right here. See if we can make it over. Woo, made it. Head tube on this side's a little high, so I was afraid that we to be able to get enough lift. I already feel pretty high on the front end between the head tube and then the added travel and length having a suspension fork. But made it still. Across the straighter run at this other Singletrack, I believe. It's the same thing. Okay. Whew. Whew. Skip to that little joke. Sometimes I've come over it and people have put rocks or something, but they get dislodged and then you land on a pile of rocks. And mountain bike, not a big deal. And a gravel bike, not so much fun. So skip that one. This is my second ride on the bike. And my first one, which I think I'll post a separate video of, was only 4 miles or something. Real short. It was hot. So I knew there wouldn't be too many people on the trail. And I just wanted to test the settings that I had before doing a bigger ride. So this uses a new 1044 cassette. Ooh, sticking away there. New 1044 cassette. And one step down is a 38, and then it's a 32 on the cog set. So ear jumps are still fairly significant, but it's nothing like the Eagle. I mean, the Eagle on the gravel bike was good, but it wasn't ideal. And dropper post up here. It was good, but it wasn't ideal. Like, jumps were really big. So this is definitely nice. Downside is that cross compatibility of this whole thing is very limited. The Explorer derailleurs, they're one bike specific, only fit the 1044 and the 1036 cassette is what they say. So I think I mentioned in the other video, but this is the Ultimate fork. So it has the Rudy Ultimate. So it has the lockout, which I haven't used and probably won't, but the interesting part is the cap is super loose. Like, it's attached, but it moves and just makes a ton of noise. So you might be able to hear it when it's a little bit slower here, but real chintzy. And I did look up last night, a few other people have broken it off within the first ride or two that were using it. I likely will never use it because of the progression of the fork. But if you're the person that's gonna play with it a bunch, you might want to hold out to see if there's a fix or like an inline improvement that they do on it, because right now it's pretty chimpy. Okay. So far so good. Been pretty fun. It's hot today. It's nice down here in the shade. It's a warm one. So I am getting quite a bit of chain slap, even with the added retention of this derailleur. It's not, I don't know if it's enough or if it's just the frame here, but with this 40, I've got a 42 chain ring. It looks like it has a lot of space. These wheels, 101 XPLR wheels, are pretty much Zipp Moto wheels for the mountain bike side of things. They have a 27mm internal width, so super wide, single wall construction, single wall, but the carbon's really thick. I mean, the wheels are heavy. They're almost 1,700 grams, 16 something. Woo! 16 something. So this is loose. People aren't making that turn. Blowing out the outside of it. A few times I've had where I kind of hit a berm pretty hard, or jump it, and throw just a little whip. The wheel has enough flex that I actually, I don't want to say it tacos, but it does. It flexes enough that I get the tire to hit the chainstay. And this bike fits like 50 or 52mm tires, or 650B, like 2.1s, 2.0s, easy. So to have it deflect that far, that's pretty substantial. So, you know, the wheels are targeting compliance and comfort, which I'm on a titanium bike, so that's got its added enhancements by itself, but the wheels are definitely doing something. I have the 40mm tires on here. I'm at about 28 and 30 PSI with the 27mm internal. They do look substantially larger. I haven't measured them, but they look larger than they do on most of my other gravel wheels, which have kind of like a 23 to 25mm internal. So there's that. There's a quick little ride down. This is Sullivan Canyon with the Singletrack that kind of crosses there. Fun, good little up and down, hitting the turns, seeing what happens. But overall, fairly impressed. Gear range is good. I do wish there's a little more cross compatibility, but there's just a lot of options. Looking at the prices, this is the SRAM Red setup. Ideally, this is for someone who wants weight savings and is not going to run this suspension fork. It's expensive. The Force and Rival, I would say, are much more realistic options for everyone, and the performance is going to be nearly identical. It's mostly just material construction differences. So for me, I would probably run the Force version, maybe even the Rival version, if I was going to do dropper post and suspension and the whole thing. If you want a 1x race bike, SRAM Red will save you a little bit of weight, but it's going to be heavy on the pocketbook. On the Red, there's only one crank width, which is kind of that standard dub width for road. But on the Force, it comes in the standard or a wide for a wider chain line. And then if you go Rival, the Rival crank only comes in wide. So there's a lot of options, not a whole lot of cross compatibility, like I said, but you know, if you want a 1x, this is probably the way to go. I like it better than the Eagle setup for gear gaps with a 40 and a 44. Still have plenty of climbing gear, and on the downhills I haven't been using the 10 as much, you know, when you're off-road, as you would think. So you could probably go 38 in the front if you needed a little extra climbing gear, and you get a 38 by 44, because the 10, you got to be going pretty fast and pushing pretty hard. So that's my opinion. I definitely like the feel of this fork over the Fox, the current Fox fork. We've seen some photos of a newer version coming from Fox, so hopefully that comes out soon, and it'll most likely have similar stats where it's flat mount and 12 mil rather than the post mount and 15 mil that's on the current one. Also in the photos, the stanchions are significantly smaller, similar to this Rudy, which will help minimize the air, which ups your progression of the fork. So, okay, I might do one more run down the trail, we'll see, but let me know if you have any questions or comments, and I'll try to answer them in a timely manner. Cheers. Okay, this is a fun little trail. I haven't done it in a long time either. I think they call it the MG trail. There's no MG car. It went off the canyon, stuck in the ravine. But it's a fun one. It's kind of flat here at the top after this little climb, rolling over some rocks and stuff. And then there's a pretty nasty little section if you're on a gravel bike. It's steep, downhill, it's loose. It's got some kind of, you know, big steps in it that are hard to see because of how loose it is. And then it's got like a 120, 130 degree right-hand turn at the bottom, normally with a little rain right in it. So we'll see how it goes. And then you're kind of just on this exposed single track. Rather than taking the fire road here, you take the single track around this little peak. So it's fun. It's a good little addition. Right now, the Rudy Ultimate lockout button is driving me nuts. It's just non-stop rattling, especially when it's kind of smooth like this, where you don't have a lot of other noise like chain slap and whatever. All I hear is this like kind of chintzy aluminum rattling noise. Whew. Fix the camera here. There we go. Okay, see how this goes. Got the dropper post down. I don't think you need a dropper post, but hey, I got one, why not use it? It's nice, I'm not gonna complain. That's little more rutted out than normal too. Okay, so this little kind of fun section here, and then as soon as I make this right hand turn, this is where it's usually pretty messed up. No, it's not too bad. They got like a little run out line here. This is usually bushes. That wasn't too bad. Oh, this is way easier. Used to have to run right through the center there. But that was a piece of cake. So, some of you may know I'm a pretty big fan of suspension forks if they're done correctly. You know, the Fox one is nice, but I don't think that it was done perfectly, and it needed a lot of refinement, so hopefully they'll do that. This is pretty good. I mean, the original, you know, Lauf grit fork, it's no moving parts with 30 mil of suspension. I mean, that to me is the most ideal because of weight, very progressive in the travel, soft at the top. There's the MG car. Soft at the top, really stiff at the bottom, and no maintenance. I mean, it's carbon fiber and glass fiber, so nothing to, no seals, no oil, no damper, none of the stuff that can go wrong. Very minimal weight addition. I mean, probably less than half the weight of this Rudy, but they do offer a 12 mil option, but because of its design, they recommend the 15 mil front axle. It just helps give it some connected rigidity because there's no bridge between the two fork legs. So that's probably my favorite. X-Fusion does have a gravel fork. I haven't used it much. It seemed pretty good, actually. It was, to me, it was also better than the original Fox one. And, you know, like I said a little bit on another video, Fox is coming out with a new one. I mean, we've seen photos of it at Leadville this last year in 2021. Seen photos of it all over. They just haven't pulled the trigger on it. And I'm sure they've got other projects they're working on, but they're gonna let the PR of probably this Rudy fork fade away and then launch their own. But you know, I also have an MCR, so I have a Lauf. I have a couple Laufs, but I have an MCR, which is the 9er full suspension bike, and I think this fork would be sweet on it, because right now it does have the Fox one, but I've got like 6 volume spacers, right? One past the max on volume spacers to get it progressive enough. And okay, this single track here usually has a lot of people. Yeah, like there's someone right there. Morning. Hello. How are you? Whew. Didn't make that ideal for me, but it's okay. Okay, so I rode this. I have another video coming down this the other day when it was super hot, because I was hoping there'd be no traffic, and there really wasn't. I think there was one person on it, but this is like testing a suspension fork on a gravel bike to the max. I don't usually like to sit in the drops here either, but I do get a little bit better single finger brake pull, and my hand doesn't get as fatigued when it's all downhill like this. So, I definitely don't have this memorized anymore. Woo! Tire pressure feels like it has gone up. I put it in this morning when it was like 65, 70 degrees. And I did try to offset it for the temperature change, but it's getting a little warmer faster than I had expected. So I'm likely over 30 PSI now. I can feel it in the back tire for sure, but the wheels are doing a really good job. But when I hit the brakes, I can feel the traction break away sooner than they should. Now, I don't know. I've tested the Moto wheels, and they work well. I think they work better to me on the mountain bike because you can really push that wheel and rim into things a lot harder than you can on the, well, it worked there, I'll tell you that much. On the gravel bike, than you can on the gravel bike. So you really get that flex that they want you to get from the rim. You really can utilize that flex more than you can on the gravel bike. I mean, I can feel it working a little bit, but it's hard to validate, honestly. And they're heavy. But when you hit something really hard, it definitely does work. So, right here. This usually has a lot of people with dogs. That's true. And headphones. So many people with headphones on this trail normally. So luckily the temperature's coming up. We're probably in the 90s, mid 90s. In the shade there, it's not too bad, but in the sun we're in the 90s. Hello. Thank you, just me. Morning. No headphones on either. That's good. Just makes the whole interaction so much easier. Nobody gets scared or startled. Startled, I guess, would be the better term. You hasn't seen me yet. Morning. Ooh. So these rocks here are pretty nasty on an old gravel bike. This is okay. Oh. Hello, sorry. Scared the dog. Hello. Thank you. The big puppy dog got startled. I was slowing down and that tire sliding, I think, startled him or her. It's real bumpy here. The other day when I did this little hello, just me. So I do notice, let's talk about the wheels, but I do notice that if I jump something and kind of land sideways a little bit, or kind of hit a berm real hard, I do get enough, flex out of the rim that it's been able to hit the chain stays. Hello. Hello. Hi, doggy. Okay. Dropper post is up. So, wheels are, like I said, heavy. I'm not sure I'm completely sold on them, but they do the job. And durability of that much flex They haven't had too many problems on the mountain bike side of things, which is where I would expect to be the most failures. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see as more people get them and ride them. Okay, well, that was a good ride.